Look at that picture. If that doesn't say happiness and health, I don't know what was. She is a beautiful little girl. She also happens to be the granddaughter of our next guest. And we're going to talk a little bit right now about how that smile not only makes you look beautiful, it often means that you're feeling great inside too. Dr. Doug Jones joins us from Techtown Dentistry. Good to have you back.
Good to be here, Susan.
She is a beautiful little girl.
Yeah, she is.
And what a gorgeous smile she has. And you know, that's exactly one of the first things we notice about people when we meet them is that smile. And for so long we thought the smile was an aesthetic thing, that you know it was great to have this pretty white smile. Now we're starting to realize just how much your oral health has to do with your overall health and well-being.
Absolutely. It's a matter of confidence as well, Susan, and what better time to talk about that in the summertime when we're meeting people, having parties, end of school parties, weddings we're going to, family celebrations, and smiles are important because it's how you greet your world, how you say I'm okay, you're okay, and it communicates how you're feeling.
Well, and that's a good point, because I know myself, you know, crooked teeth, or you're critical of it, you look and you think, oh, you become self-conscious. You think about people who have gum issues or teeth issues or different things that are going on in their lives, and you just realize how much of a confidence breaker that can be when you can't present that world with that big white smile.
And it's confidence not only to know that you're at your best, but it's also the confidence to know that your health is in good shape. And that's where dentistry is really has come alive in the sense that we're finding out that oral health and health of your gums is so influential to your overall health.
You know, I'm a farmer's daughter, Doug, and I think back to the days when if you had a horse to sell, what was the first thing they did when they were looking to sell a horse? The farmer came up and looked at the horse's teeth and decided from looking at their teeth if this was a good animal to buy or not. And we kind of laugh about that, but in a lot of ways that is an indicator. That's one of the key indicators as to how healthy you really are.
Absolutely, and I'm frequently humbled when I remember the line about common sense is not all that common, but in dentistry, there's a lot of common sense out there, and one of the most important things to remember is that healthy gums never bleed, never ever bleed. And for a lot of people, that's an awakening. They might say, well, they bleed when I floss, or they bleed when I put a toothpick in there or whatever, but when they're healthy, they don't bleed. And the important thing about that is that it's part of the inflammation process, and when your gums are bleeding, it tells you that they're inflamed. And that's a big deal for dentistry, but it's even more important, much more important, of what that's doing for your overall health. Because we're finding out that there's an association between chronic inflammation, long-term inflammation anywhere in your body, with the risk of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, arthritis, and many other health ailments. Really?
So if you're sensing that in your gums, not that you should panic, but it might be an indicator that there's something more that could be going on, or you could be sensing something else happening in your body.
You're absolutely right. And what I frequently tell people is that the relationship between a fingernail and a cuticle is very similar to the relationship between your teeth and your gums. And if you're washing your hands or scrubbing your fingers or cleaning around the cuticle, if you recognize that your ring finger is bleeding, well, you might put up with that for one day, but the next day you're going to wonder what in the dickens is going on here. And it's no different. Healthy gums just don't bleed.
So what other things should we be looking for then when it comes to our teeth? I mean, we look at each other in the mirrors all the time. We're brushing our teeth and that, and I guess I just don't pay that much attention to what it all looks like in there. So are there other indicators we should be watching for?
Well, I think the standard ones are if your breath isn't very fresh, that could be an indication. If you're finding your gums are receding, that's another indication that things are up. But again, regular visits to your dentist and your hygienist are going to pinpoint those problems. But I think that so many people don't recognize that they have a choice, and they can do a lot of things themselves. And with this inflammatory process, what we look at is what can you do to control that. And if you think of you cut an apple and it's exposed to the air and it's oxidized. That's the oxidation, we hear about that. If you put vitamin C on it, like squeeze some lemon juice on it, that apple does not turn brown. So you've got oxidation, antioxidation, and they're neutralized. Now in the mouth, when those things are equal, everything's fine. Your body heals and it's doing just great. But when it's not, if there's too much oxidation and not enough antioxidation, then the body responds with inflammation. And short term, no big deal. Long term, that's when you run into troubles and it increases your risk. But there are things you can do about that, your own body's response. And the things are things like a well-balanced diet with vegetables and fresh fruits, things like develop your personal stress management program.
It was interesting because one of the terms that you used that I wasn't familiar with was dental stress. I had never heard of that before, but I guess it's like stress anywhere else in the bottom. If you're putting stress on your teeth and on your gums, it causes stress elsewhere.
Well, you think of why do we floss? Why do we brush? Well, you get plaque forming on your teeth, and that's a stressor. If you remove it on a daily basis, it's no big deal. But if it stays there long enough, then that whole oxidation, antioxidation balance is gone, and your body responds with inflammation. And how do you recognize that? The gums will bleed. Many people will put up with that because no one sees it, it doesn't hurt. But the important thing is, what's that doing on a long-term basis?
Well, and that's why the regular dental care becomes so key for everybody, because like you said, you may not notice it yourself, but it's something that a dentist would look at and say, okay, this is something we need to keep an eye on and figure out how we're going to control.
Yeah, in virtually every dental office in our community, we have a huge resource of dental professionals and specialists and hygienists and orthodontists, oral surgeons, endodontists, and we have a great community resource to help people with that.
There's a new technology out there that I hadn't heard of before, but it's called a perio wave.
Yes.
And this is something that's coming into play and helping people with good oral health.
Well, actually, it helps people with not so good oral health.
Get to that good oral health.
Yeah, exactly. And perio wave is an exciting technology. It's a low-level laser light. And it is non-invasive, it's non-antibiotic, so there's no risk of bacteria becoming resistant to an antibiotic, and there's no risk of allergic reactions to an antibiotic. As I said, totally painless, but what it does is focus on the culprits, if you will, the bad bacteria around the gums. And it will eliminate those and then allow the gums to heal. It begins the healing process. But it's so simple and frankly very effective, and it's a way, because it's non-surgical, for people who aren't ready to go to a gum specialist for more definitive treatment if that's required. It just doesn't fit into their life. This is a way to potentially, well, not potentially, virtually slow it down and sometimes reduce the need for any further care.
And you'll have made a lot of people out there go, oh, it's not a surgery. I don't have to go to the dentist to have a surgery for this, because too many times we associate it with pain, but it doesn't have to be painful.
No.
And really, if you're taking good care of your teeth, it shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't be about pain.
No, it's about feeling good, looking better, feeling more confident. And I think when people get clarity on these issues, they have a direction, a plan, and a path, and they feel more confident. And what better way to approach your world than feeling confident?
Well, we saw a picture of your granddaughter earlier. You also sent a picture along of your father, and when you talk about, good oral health, take a look at this smile. How old is your father?
My dad's going to be 85 in October, and he's a good guy. He's a happy guy, and he's got a great smile, and it's kind of a funny story. 2 years ago, he said he wanted to whiten his teeth. I said, Dad, why do you want to whiten your teeth for? You've got a great smile. And he said, well, I just do. So before I knew it, 2 weeks later, he'd had his teeth whitened, and it made a huge difference. But my dad's got great gums. He's in good shape, and it just shows you can have a healthy smile for a lifetime. And he's doing it on his own. I take no credit for it. He's in great shape.
Well, he's a great role model for all of us.
Absolutely.
And we can strive to have teeth like that with good care from good people like you at Tech Town Dentistry. And you can go online for more information and to find out more about the work that they do and keeping that good oral health for all of us. Thanks for joining us, Doug.
Thanks very much.
We're going to be back with more in Daytime in just a moment. Stay with us.